Hello everybody, welcome into the Four Corners Racing League here on Ghost Racing Network. We are getting ready for a pretty good race tonight. Going to be a throwback event, so you're going to see a lot of old classic, good paint schemes. We are here at the Lady in Black Darlington Raceway. Thought it'd be a night race, but it's looking like we're in the day. And on that note, let's get right down and get to your race info. You're probably expecting Bryce here tonight. He just had to stay at work a little bit later, so that's why you're hearing me, the Green Ghost here, the other guy on Ghost Racing Network. Appreciate everybody that's hanging out with me tonight. Let's get to your starting grid first, get things kicked off. Looks like Dylan Holland is going to take the pole starting first in that beautiful 71 machine. Aiden Kirker starts to his outside in second. Brandon Hoff third. David Chillhouse in fourth. It's going to be Walker Thomas fifth. In sixth, Joe Ananzita. I do apologize for pronouncing some of these names wrong. I've never seen any of these guys. First time here. But row 4 is going to be Kyle Smalley and Zach Lindgren. Row 5 is going to be Jared Wishon and Nick Olson. 11th starts Brad Peters to his outside, and 12th is going to be James McKee. 13th, Marcus Adams. 14th, Caden Henry Oakes. Jordan Weaver starts 15th. He has Roberto Ramirez to his outside in 16th. Brian Jones in 17th. Michael Dorsey 18th. Row 10 is going to be J.R. Houston and Ryan Hines. 21st, Calvin A. Allison and Chris Worrell. 23rd, Keith Smalley. 24th, John Creighton. And 25th is going to be Nathan Yarnell. Getting around here just before we get started and before we go down track side, we still got to go over your race info. Darlington, one of the more interesting tracks here in NASCAR. You see it's just a little bit under a mile and a half. Tonight we are in the FCRL Cup Series for 145 laps, 100% fuel. Everybody's going to have 5 tire sets if they need them. Clear skies, 2 mile per hour wind. And just like that, we are getting ready to go racing. Get down track side. Dylan Holland looking for the green flag as the pace car is going to roll off. Tricky pit road, by the way. We'll note that as the race goes on. Looking for the green flag, and it's going to fly. We are racing at Darlington. Pretty even start. This is going to be the sketchiest part about Darlington. Not a very wide track. We meant to mention that in your race info. And you're going to see guys getting right up by the wall. Everybody runs a nice diamond shape here in turns 1 and 2, but there's just not a lot of room getting off on exit. And we'll see how many guys. I think we're definitely going to have some cautions tonight, but I think if we're going to have them, it's going to most likely be on restarts. Looking back, here's a little battle between Nick Olson and Brad Peters. Watching both of these guys. Actually, that's Zach Lindgren. He's looking to go by the outside 85 machine. Sees the 24 just behind him. Back up front, though, Dylan Holland already looking to see if he can maybe put a little gap between himself and the rest of the field. Got it up to almost half a second. Really long race tonight, and with no planned stage breaks or competition cautions as we see in some series, not this one, of course. It's going to be interesting to see how guys play tire strategy out. I didn't get all the information I was hoping to get. Again, just filling in for Bryce tonight, but looking to be 100% fuel, and everybody does have plenty of tires, but you're certainly going to need to conserve them at a track like Darlington. See if everybody can do a nice job with it. Here's a battle between Walker Thomas and 12. Oh, he slides up, gets into the 39 of Aiden Kirker. Man, I don't know how the 39 kept it out of the wall with that contact, but he does. That is going to open it up to the 0-2 of David Chillhouse to get to his inside on exit. But the 39 gets that momentum down the straightaway. He's going to hold him off. Now it looks like the 0-2 is the one that's going to fall backwards. 85 continue to look for positions. A couple guys already up a couple places, including Walker Thomas, Kyle Smalley, and Jared Wishon. 27 machine looking back in the field. Everybody's going to get pretty spread out. We got a couple people that are here that are not actually on track, including, looks like Chris Vanderplatz may have joined. Of course, he is just watching. He is not out here racing tonight. Joseph Grijalva, ooh, looks like he's having some internet issues. He's going to pull that 47 machine right down to the pits. Not sure if he had joined late or what. Keith Smalley off the big pack right now. You see him sitting in turns 3 and 4 as the rest of the field is on the straightaway, and then it's pretty single filed out from there. I mean, that's what you expect at a track like Darlington. You're not going to have a lot of guys really getting too racy besides those restarts. That's why it's so important to get track position. Tell you what, though, I was watching Brandon Hoff in practice a little bit. This guy was showing a lot of speed in the 59 machine. We'll see if it can continue here throughout the race, but he is currently tracking down your leader, Dylan Holland. We'll see if he can make a pass here in the next couple laps. In fact, stick a ride on board, see the different lines these two are running. See these two guys showing a lot of patience here early. The 71. Everybody pretty much has to run that diamond that you see in 1 and 2. There's not too many options. We saw that on the initial restart. We're seeing that here from pretty much both guys. Now 3 and 4 is a different story. That's what makes Darlington so interesting. Both sides of the track are complete opposite ends. 3 and 4 is a lot sharper of a turn. Still similar banking. But of course, the radius is a lot tighter, so you can't run as fast through. However, the lines change. You'll see a couple guys by the wall at certain points in this race. You'll also see a couple guys running right around that white line on the bottom, maybe even a couple diamond shapes similar to what we're seeing here in 1 and 2. The 59 caught a little bit. It evened out. Now he's starting to fade just a little bit here. You got to wonder, did maybe he use up his stuff a little more than he wanted to? Only 8 laps in, so I don't think anybody's really burnt their stuff up too much just yet, but you saw the speeds there entering turn 3. Upper 170s, and that's what makes Darlington such an interesting track, is how fast everybody runs when you consider the fact that it's under 1.5 miles. Quick reminder for everybody out there that's watching, there's a paint scheme contest going on, and we're going to make sure we go through and look at some of these nice paint schemes as the race goes on. But what you can do is you can look at that link that's there in the chat. Go check it out on the website. It will take you to the website for the sponsor, Under Pressure Power Washing Services, which of course is the sponsor for the Four Corners Racing League. Go to the bottom of the homepage and you will have all the directions and things you need to vote on your favorite paint scheme for tonight. That will be closed halfway through the race. Ooh, I heard someone get into the wall. Might have been one of your 2 leaders. 71's maybe lost just a little bit. Boy, they're really getting close to the wall. Let's go back further in the field, and we'll try to go through some of these paint schemes here, highlight some of them, if you will. Starting with Keith Smalley at the Cottonwood 2 car, looking pretty good. Nathan Yarnell, and I think, I'll tell you what, I may not know too many of these, I'm not going to lie, but I certainly know that one. That is a Dale Earnhardt throwback. Beautiful looking blue and yellow paint scheme just in front of him. How about Calvin Allison? 28 machine. Chris Worrell. And I believe that's... Oh man, I don't want to keep talking because I'm just going to make myself sound stupid, but I think that might be either a Ryan Newman or a Mark Martin throwback. But again, I am not 100% sure on a lot of these. One thing is I do not know old NASCAR, not as much as I know new NASCAR. There's the 99 of Michael Dorsey, currently sitting in 20th in the Jegs 99. He's got the 66 in front of him, the Castrol for John Creighton. Roberto Ramirez, good looking car, orange and black, 42. Ooh, did we just have one go? I thought I saw one maybe get a little loose there. Was that Nathan Yarnett? I'll tell you what, that might have been Michael Dorsey. I thought I saw someone out of the corner of the screen there get a little loose. Let's back this up. Make sure we didn't miss. Oh, sure enough, 99 did get loose. It's too early in the run for this. That is not a good sign, man. Just off the corner. Doesn't look like there's any contact. Just, at least not with the car behind him. Does he get into the outside? Oh, he might have got into the outside wall. I'll tell you what, looking at it, I think that's what he did. Oh, no. Maybe he thought he was going to. Whipped it a little harder to the left than he wanted to. Back tires come off the ground, and heck of a save, though, to keep it off the inside wall, keep from getting any damage on that 99 machine. Not sure if these guys have a fast spare, if these guys have a fast spare, so for the time being, we're just going to go ahead and assume they don't. Good save, but man, some of these guys really starting to struggle already. The 59 of Brandon Hoff, you saw he almost just lost it there off the turn, and now he's going to be under fire from Walker Thomas. Thought he was going to maybe look to make a move there. Closes up big time in turn 1, but it's going to stick behind him. This guy's going to get closer and closer to the wall, and right now, Brandon Hoff, I think maybe you just got to let him go here. The 12 seems to be a little faster. And, you know, it's hard at a track like Darlington. You start to struggle. You try to push a little harder, look for a little more, and that's where you can really start to run into mistakes. Make your own mistakes, even, if you will. As these two go side by side down into the corner of the 39. Aiden Kirker, he's going to see if he can capitalize on one of these two's mistake. But he's still running that nice diamond. Ooh, caution is out. Got a car go around here, see if we can find who it was. And it might have been Caden Henry Oaks in the 91. That is another one of my favorite throwbacks tonight. Gotta assume that's similar to a Danica Patrick throwback. And you know what? Even if somehow I'm wrong, maybe a Mark Martin one as well, but even if I'm wrong on it, still like the colors a lot. Got the lime green with the black. Either way, let's check out what brings out your first caution here of the night. And sure enough, it is going to be by Caden Henry Oaks. And this looks really similar to what we saw a couple laps ago from the 99. Michael Dorsey, who actually had held on to it. Ooh, did he get... He might have got a little help there. Not sure. We'll have to take a look from the chopper view. But once he does get out of shape and gets down to the inside here, See, that thing's going to get 45, almost 90 degrees sideways, back facing towards the right. And does he make any contact with the outside wall here? No, he doesn't. And somehow everybody avoids him. That is going to be important that no one got damaged from that. So good save. But again, him being that sideways was all it took to trigger the caution, especially since if you considered it kind of happened right there in front of the officials. All right, let's take a look here at the chopper cam. See, was there any help from behind? Ooh, man, he just looks loose. This is pretty early. I mean, man, middle of the corner. Didn't even make it far in the corner before he started to get loose. And yeah, the 20 nowhere near. Looks like maybe he was trying to run that diamond shape and kind of hits the peak of the diamond. And once it starts coming back down, man, that thing just starts getting sideways. You see he's working the front tires, trying to get the thing to whip back. Doesn't. And, oh, on the second part, as he's trying to gather it, gets a little help from the 20. Wouldn't say that the 20 was doing anything wrong there. May have just been closing speed, but that was a little bit of a finishing blow that ends up sending the 91 for a spin. Half spin, if you will, on the front stretch brings out the first caution. Let's go back live. Check out how your front five are doing. Being led right now by J.R. Houston, Jordan Weaver second, Calvin A. Allison third. Dylan Holland was your leader. Now back to fourth after the pit stops, and Brandon Hoff currently sitting in fifth. Go back a couple more positions while we ride under caution here. You know, I'll tell you what, I was going to look to see if we could get some in-race interviews tonight. And we are going to try to speak to Chris Vanderplatz later, who's not racing tonight, but is part of the league. But I don't see any of these guys in the racing channels. I'm not sure if that's just how they roll or what. Again, not usually here. This is usually Bryce just filling in for the night. But, man, it's a ghost town in the Discord right now, so I'm not going to be able to get any interviews during the race. It's not looking like, and heck, I don't know if I'll even be able to do top 3 interviews, which for those of you that know the leagues at broadcast, that is usually a must-do, but not looking like it's going to be the case here tonight. Either way, going back to 6th, you're going to find David Schildhaus in the 02 machine. 7th is going to be Chris Worrell. 8th, Kyle Smalley, Walker Thomas, and 9th, and Zach Lindgren rounding out the top 10, that 85 machine. How about Jared Wishon? 11th, Nick Olson. 12th, Marcus Adams. And 13th, Brad Peters. And 14th, and rounding out the top 15 is Joe Annanzita. Looking 46 paint scheme there as well. That's another one of my favorites. You know, I voted on this earlier, and it was a tough choice. I had a couple favorites. There had we saw one earlier. It was the under pressure paint scheme that you could vote on. I have not seen it out here. Not sure if that was one that Chris was gonna run or what the deal was. Either way, the guy that I voted on right here, the 05 machine, Brad Peters. It's a good looking throwback. Got the jack links on the front. Either way, I just like the color scheme. Something about red and white goes good together. And of course, I think most of the people know the famous throwback, assuming that is a Casey Kane themed throwback, from what I could tell. Lights are going to go off this time, so enough of me jabbering. We're about to get back to race. In the front row is going to be J.R. Houston and Jordan Weaver. Oh, we have a delayed caution here. Oh, do we have a little mess in the back here? Oh, we did. What in the world is that on track? That's Ryan Hines. And this is interesting. I can't say I've ever seen this before. You know what? I'm going to tell you what. I have no insight, but I'm going to take a wild guess on what I think this is. I think that's a choose cone. I could be wrong, but I think this is a choose cone. You see it's bright orange. It's pretty pointy. And it is definitely not racing with the rest of the cars out on track. So my best guess would be that it's a choose cone. Can't say that I've ever seen guys do it that way. I've certainly seen people be allowed to pick lanes, but this is pretty interesting. And they're lined up single file, so I'll tell you what, that's what it is. That's not something I've seen before. I'll tell you what, I learned something new tonight, and we'll see the lanes they pick. Sure enough, they're going to split him. There goes everybody, and let's go down to what I guess you might as well call the choose box cam. There you go. You see guys splitting around it left and right. Yeah, that is a pretty interesting idea. I wonder if he's going to pull off onto the pits or if he just leaves. Sitting there wondering why we had a delayed green. I was seeing some data here that said a couple guys crashed. And nope, it was just the Formula V car, I believe that is, pulling out on track to be a choose cone. There we go. He's going to exit the track. And now we're actually double filed up, ready to go. And it looks like J.R. Houston who we actually saw make the contact that brought out that first incident, although it wasn't really his fault, just didn't really have anywhere to go. Looks like he's going to choose the inside. Jordan Weaver's going to choose the outside. We talked about restarts are crucial. 20 laps in, we still got a long ways to go, but man, that clean air and track position can certainly make a difference. We saw the 71, Dylan Holland, he was fast early. We'll see if he can make that position back. 3 wide isn't something you usually see in real life in Darlington. It'd be interesting to see if we see it tonight, maybe towards the end. I don't think we're going to see any right now. Row 2, Calvin Allison, Dylan Holland, here we go. Into the Geico restart zone. We are back green at Darlington. Really good jump from the inside line. That is J.R. Houston. He is going to get clear by a couple car lengths. Looks like the 28's trying to follow Calvin Allison. He's got to get clear now. He's going to do it. Little slide job up in front of the 23 who looks really loose up top. Oh, the 71 gets into the 28. Contact. Oh my goodness. Does he hold on to it? He does, but there's going to be more contact up top. We got a mess down the backstretch. Caution back out. This one's going to collect a couple more guys, although it didn't look like any of them hit too hard. My goodness, what a mess. It's the 0-2 of David Schildhaus. He gets back rolling further back, saw a couple more spun. 27, Jared Wishon, excuse me. He's going to get it back rolling. And I'll tell you what, I was hoping everybody was going to hold on to it because that would have been a heck of a save. In fact, it was a heck of a save. It looks like, ooh, 27. Some decent front end damage, and I guess now we'll know if guys have fast pair or not, but man, if you're going to get damage, you certainly don't want it in the front end. All things considered, I guess it could have been worse, but definitely felt that one for the 27 of Jared Wishon. All right, let's go back and take a look. This starts way ahead of where the actual wreck happens. In fact, you kind of see it in this camera. It's going to go out of view for just a second. We'll bring it back up. The 28 was a little loose up top, and then it got a little help here from the 71. And you see Dylan Holland just, the 28 maybe coming down a little bit, 71 coming up. It's kind of hard to tell. Watch the 71's tires. He may have been expecting. Let's watch this restart from the whole start here. You see the 28 gets a good jump. Initially got clear and I thought was going to be gone at this point, but maybe just it's a little loose here. Oh yeah, you see the 28 wiggling just a little bit. Starts to arc it down. They kind of come together. 28 does a heck of a job saving this. I don't know how he straightens it out, but then here you're going to have the 0-2 looking to dodge, and these things don't like abrupt maneuvers. Gets up into the 12 who had nowhere to go. Back down the track. The 5 just misses. There's the 27 Jared, just nowhere to go. Nothing he could do either. And boy, they all are going to start piling up from there. We'll take a look at that next. You had guys dodging left and right. And the paint scheme I voted for, apparently I gave him the announcer jinx because he's going to get in that one as well. Absolutely nowhere to go. Quite a few guys in this. We'll have to break this down a couple times. There's the 46 spinning. He's having a pretty good night. Had a good qualifying effort. Of course, that is Joe Ananzita. The 0-2 comes to a stop as well with absolutely nowhere to go. Let's take a couple more looks at this. Or a couple more looks at it, excuse me. Just guys piling in. One of those things, you have one get in it, and the rest all come along. Darlington isn't the widest track either when they start wrecking, and in this case, everybody piles in. Give you one more final look at it. This time, let's take a look from the cockpit. One of the guys that were in the wreck, Jared Wishon. Here we go. I'll tell you what, he's probably lucky he didn't get T-boned a second time, or that could have been a lot worse, but either way, still pretty heavy contact. Gonna shuffle some things up here. Pair of early cautions. And these guys got to make sure that they're taking care of their tires on these restarts because you don't want to get caught up. I'll tell you what, it's tempting sometimes, especially if you're in the wreck. You slide your tires, you figure, oh, well, I got 5 sets. Let me take another one. But again, still a long ways to go. Over 100 laps still. Darlington is a very tire-heavy track. The 20, though, J.R. Houston still leading. No change there. Dylan Holland still second. Calvin Allison third. Jordan Weaver in fourth. Kyle Smalley rounding out the top 5. And even though that wreck, I guess if you will, kind of started with the chain reaction from the 28 getting loose and the 71 getting into him, these two, they did a heck of a job saving it. And because of that, as I say that, looks like he's playing a little bit, but because of that, they're both still on track without damage. And they did not lose track position like some of the other guys did. So it works out very nicely in both of their cases. Jordan Weaver, Kyle Smalley, Chris Worrell, Zach Lindgren, Marcus Adams, Joe Ananzito. We just saw him in that wreck. Trying to look at the damage here, and actually we'll go to the rear chase cam to see just how bad it looks. Ooh, left front pretty banged up. Darlington is maybe not the most aero-dependent track we go to, but you're still probably gonna feel that a little bit. Maybe not too much on new tires, but man, once those tires start to wear out, he is gonna struggle. We've been looking at paint schemes a lot tonight. Here you go. Here's one. Got the Oreos on, but I think everyone has a general idea of what that paint scheme's a throwback to. That's James McKee. Again, you can vote for all these guys up until the halfway point in the race. Go to the website that we posted in the description. Scroll down to the bottom of the homepage and get your votes in for your favorite paint scheme. Waiting to see that interesting looking shoes cone, if you will, get out on track, but it already did, so we're ready to go. JR Houston shows that bottom line again, and some tracks we see the top work. Darlington, man, if the 71 can hang next to him, it's going to be interesting for sure. But I think I like that bottom, especially if you can get a good restart, which it looks like JR Houston does. Gets another good restart. The 28's going to follow him, but the last time the 71 was behind the 28, it did not end well. We'll see if they can sort it out a little bit nicer this time. Diving down into turn one, pretty good run here. The 28 this time doesn't look to get as loose. Dylan Holland drops in line. All the racing right now is further back towards the middle of the pack, side by side. Ooh, the 28 does get loose off the turn, though. He's going to have to take a detour down to the bottom. Gets back up on the track before they make it to turn three. Further back, everybody playing pretty nice with each other. New tires. Nobody's really slipping and sliding too much just yet. I will say that first lap can always be a little sketchy. The 15, he may have had an issue. He's going to drop out as well, as we see a little bump drafting right there from the 02. Getting really aggressive. He knows he's got to go, but up front, 20 of JR Houston looking for a comfortable lead. We saw Dylan Holland get by the 28 Calvin Allison, and now here comes the 5 of Kyle Smalley. Going to dive it down into turn three. I think if you're going to make the pass, I think the easiest place to do it is going to be in turns 1 and 2, because there kind of is that only that one line, and you can really dive it in. The inside is much more preferred in 1 and 2 than it necessarily is in 3 and 4, where in that case, Calvin Allison still make it work. Now we see the 85. He's going to look to the low side as well. He's got to try to clear it. Oh, man, the 28, I think, actually got out of the throttle. Maybe cut him a little break there. That was going to be close. They still remain side by side. There goes the 6 of Chris Worrell to the inside of Marcus Adams. And they will all be single file probably within the next handful of laps. It just seems like no matter how hard you try, you can only stay side by side for about a handful of laps here at Darlington before everybody gets singled out. And then it becomes, if you're going to pass, it's going to be because the guy in front of you is a good amount slower than 91. He's going to lose that position to the 12 of Walker Thomas, who we saw show a little speed earlier. Waiting to see him get back uphill, see what he can do the rest of this race. Caden Henry Oaks in the 91. He had a half spin earlier. He's back out here in 13th, up one position from where he started. But right now, your biggest mover is the man that just lost the lead, JR Houston. Dylan Holland takes it over, but he can't be feeling too bad about that because Dylan has been flying since the drop of the green. But like I said, up 17 spots right now for the 20 car. Easily the hardest charger in the field right now. 5 of Kyle Smalley, though, he is going to be looking to get around the 20 here shortly. And don't forget about the 85, Zach Lindgren. He is looking to get up here as well. 30 laps in of 145. Long run at Darlington could be pretty brutal. We'll have to see again. If we can get that green one, we can kind of gauge how far these guys can go on fuel. Don't really want to guess it, because there's some tracks where I can take a pretty good estimate on how far I think these guys can go on a tank of fuel. Darlington is certainly not one of them, so we're not going to try to do it. But there's a chance that, you know, maybe these guys can make it from here the rest of the way on maybe one tank. It'd be close, or one pit stop rather, excuse me. It would be really close, but the 5, Kyle Smalley, is going to get side by side now with the 20. Just as he did, he finally gets by, but that opened it up for the 85. Zach, he's going to look to the inside as well. He also gets clear, and I think maybe the 20 doesn't really have anything left. Oh, man, Calvin Allison, he has been loose all night trying to hold on to that thing. He's still holding on to a top 5 position, but looking like he's going to lose that here to Marcus Adams in the 31, and that is Kevin Harvick throwback, I believe. Again, I'm not going to say for sure on any of these because I certainly could be wrong. It's over, and listen, I may be thinking of, man, I got all these guys confused. There's way too many good-looking paint schemes out here tonight. Apparently, for me to remember all of them, little side-by-side battle, a little bit further back here. See if they can get it sorted out. Looks like that is the 24. And the 27, Jared Wishon, who we saw in an accident earlier It's covered pretty nicely, and he is going to fend off Nick Olson in the 24. Got the 66 just in front of these two of John Creighton. Do we have one get a little loose up here? Looks like somebody's going to look to pounce. Roberto Ramirez just in front of this battle, where it looks like Brian Jones, Aiden Kirker, they're going at it side by side off of 2. This is where things get a little sketchy. Man, every time you got to wonder if one of them is going to get tight. And there's a little bump here at Darlington off of turn 2 as well. And if you hit that bump wrong, or especially later on the tire run when these guys do start to get loose, man, that is really going to be where you want to make sure that the back end is secure before you pound the throttle on the straightaway. Going back up front, though, Dylan Holland still leading the way. He's almost got his lead up to a second now over Kyle Smalley, who runs second. Zach Lindgren in third. So it looks like a couple people in the chat. Chris Vanderplaat says, "You got it, shoes cone." And Duck Duck just joins the chat, says, "Good evening, Austin. I was thinking Bryce was broadcasting." Well, I'm pretty sure most of the people in here are as well. This is Bryce's, one of the leagues that Bryce does. Unfortunately, I believe he said his boss had to hold him late for work tonight, so he is not going to be here. So I'm just filling in for tonight. Bryce will be back next week. And, you know, of all the weeks to fill in, good race here at Darlington, but man, I am not caught up enough to speed to do this. So again, apologize to everyone if I'm getting anyone's names wrong, anything mixed up. We're trying to do the best with what we got out here right now. Kyle Smalley still running in second. J.R. Houston, boy, he still held on to the top 5. We saw the 31 of Marcus Adams battling him for it. Not sure if he got a little tight or what, but he all of a sudden fell back behind the 20, and you got to wonder, did the tires start to even out after a little while? Duck Duck says, "Glad to see some racing. I haven't been around much to see any lately. Glad to hear you, though." Thanks, Duck Duck. I certainly appreciate it. I'll tell you what, we had a pretty good week of racing. We got some good stuff tomorrow with, of course, me and Matthew Baker in the PGR series, but we'll talk more about that later. The one downside about Darlington is, you know, not a lot of racing after the restarts. It's a good, as a driver, it is good racing. Darlington is a very fun track, but you're not going to see, we talked about it, you're not going to see a lot of side-by-side overall. You'll see some battles here and there, like the one we're seeing right here between the 42. Ooh, 42 did get in the wall a little bit right there. That is Roberto Ramirez. As the 02 of David Schildhouse was going by, maybe just got a little tight. But overall, it's just not a track that you'll see a lot of side-by-side, except for when these guys are on new tires. They fade pretty quick here. One of the things I did mean to look at, we'll look at it on the next run, is the lap times on old tires compared to new tires. You know, it's going to be pretty significant here at Darlington as they're running somewhere from 20 to 30 second lap times. Let's take a ride on board here with someone that's further back in all this chaos, and see what it's looking like here. We'll actually go, oh, heard somebody get into the wall. It might have been Roberto Ramirez, just barely skimming it on the back straightaway. We ride on board with him now. And I also am not sure, you got to assume that some of these guys have teammates, but again, did not get any of that info pre-race, so I'm not 100% sure, but Darlington, not necessarily a track where you need them. What I am excited for, though, is going to be those pit stops, because, you know what, let's jump to it now as I'm going to explain it to you here. Pit road here at Darlington, you kind of see it here, but that doesn't really do it justice. We'll go up to your leader here, and next time he goes by it, we'll really show you what I'm talking about. It is an extremely tricky pit road to enter. Kind of a blind corner with the way pit road is, in the sense of you got to make sure you get down to it earlier. You're not going to have a chance at making it. As they go down the back straightaway, gotta wonder here. I'm still trying to figure out what lap they're going to pit on. Either way, though, when it's time to come down to the pits, you see it there in that view. You really got to will that thing up, and you have to get on the apron pretty early to make the pits here at Darlington. And I would not by any means be surprised if we potentially see some guys make a mistake. And you know what else I was looking at right there is kind of interesting, almost like a pit straightaway on the backstretch. The way the outside wall was set, it almost looked like a second, like a pit stop, if you will. But either way, going back up front, Kyle Smalley maybe starting to figure something out. He's starting to slowly but surely reel in Dylan Holland, who's got the lead. But we saw this last run, roles were reversed a little bit. We actually had saw the 59 up here. Boy, he has fallen quite a bit. Brandon Hoff, he had made a run towards the front, was in second, got pretty close. Within half a second, all of a sudden started to struggle, really fell back, and then after that caution has fallen back into the sea of cars. And has not really been able to recover since, currently sitting in 17th position, down 14 from where he started, excuse me. But I'm watching the lap times here. Kyle Smalley kind of been on and off, a little faster the last couple, maybe a little slower. But taking a look at it here, we can compare them, and you see, it looks like Dylan Holland, the last 3 of 5 laps has been faster, but 2 of those 5, looks like Smalley was a bit faster by about a tenth on one of the laps and half a tenth on the other. Darlington is one of those rhythm tracks where you really just kind of got to get locked in, get used to the rhythm of it. It looks like Nathan Peters says, who's broadcasting? It is me, Austin, also known as the Green Ghost, whatever you want to call me. I don't really care that much, as Bryce is not here tonight. He will be back next week. Just covering for him tonight. Tuck Tuck says Austin is broadcasting. He said Bryce was held up at work. Tires, we're starting to slowly get down to that middle portion. We're not quite in the long run just yet, but as everybody gets separated more and more, you got to assume that the chance for a caution decreases more and more. Looking at the field, though, another thing that we haven't talked about yet that these guys are going to experience at some point in this race, I would assume at least, is lap traffic. Right now, Dylan Holland, he's got the cleanest air, and you can tell that he's enjoying it. But speaking of speeds, Kyle Smalley, kind of same thing as what we saw with the 59 earlier. He made up a lot of time all of a sudden, and now it's kind of fallen back off, and because of that, that's given the 85 of Zach Lindgren a chance to look to the outside. He's going to take full advantage. You see rolling the top to 3 and 4. He gets the momentum off the turn, and he is going to take that position from Kyle Smalley. 85 is up to second, up 6 spots from where he started. And we will see if maybe he can go chase down your leader, but nobody's really had anything for Dylan Holland tonight. He's led most of the laps. Of course, J.R. Houston led a few as well, but speaking of J.R. Houston, still hanging around the top 6. I'm not sure if he tried a little pit strategy or what the deal is, but the 20 car, I think it's got some speed, and we'll see what he can do here once we get some fresh tires. Do think we're going to see quite a few speeding penalties on pit road, or maybe even guys missing the pits. And if you miss the pits here at Darlington, it's one of those things where it's hard because you try to commit to the pit stop, but if you think you're not going to make it, it'd be much better of just throttling it back up and going than getting a speeding penalty or potentially going into those very treacherous barrels. And you'll see it. You see them right there. All those yellow barrels, if you hit those, that it's going to be heavy front end damage. Might even draw a caution. Back to see how these guys can do. If you're interested in maybe checking out the Four Corners Racing League, we do have the Discord description, or the Discord link, excuse me, in the description. Feel free to go check it out. We are now over 1/3 of the way through this race, as we are going to be completing lap 50 this time around. Going pretty quick here at Darlington again. An interesting track. I would say definitely races like a mile and a half, but it's not quite a mile and a half in length, more like 1.3. Taking a look at track temp here, that's one of the things that we didn't look at in your race info. It's pretty toasty at 114 degrees. Wind, not really a factor, but I'm telling you, tire wear at a track like this, by increasing that track temp to anything over 100, all you're doing is increasing the speed of that wear. And these cars are going to be a lot looser. We have certainly seen that tonight. Ooh, did the 71 maybe give a little tap to the wall right there? Looks like he's good to go, but running that diamond, you kind of run that risk. The 85 sits a second and 3/10 back. Doesn't look like he's going to be catching anytime soon. The 5 of Kyle Smalley still sitting 3rd. Walker Thomas 4th. Marcus Adams 5th. J.R. Houston 6th. It's going to be Calvin Allison in 7th. David Schildhaus in 8th. Aiden Kirker in 9th. James McKee 10th. Jordan Weaver 11th, Chris Worrell in 12th, Nick Olson 13th, Caden Henry Oaks. Saw him have a spin earlier. He is back to 14th position where he started. Brandon Hoffman 15th. Jared Wishan, he was in a wreck as well in 16th. And in fact, see how the front end of that 27's looking. And if he got that thing completely buffed out, that might give you all you need to know in the sense of, is there a fast? I'll tell you what, the front end of that 27 looks awfully clean considering the damage he had. I'm thinking maybe these guys do have a fast repair. Again, I'm not 100% sure on that. How about Roberto Ramirez? Going a little bit in the wrong direction right now. The 42 machine back 1 spot from where he started in 17th. Brian Jones 18th. Nathan Yarnell in 19th. Ooh, man, the 15 got a lot higher than he wanted to there, and it looks like he did get into the wall as well. John Creighton in 20th. Brad Peters in 21st. Joe Annanzita in 22nd. Keith Smalley in 23rd, Michael Dorsey in 24th, and Joseph Grijalva, who we saw have kind of internet issues from the start. Looks like he is no longer on track. We did see him retire basically on the first lap. Try it on board again here with your leader. We did it earlier, but this time we're on a lot older tires, and listen to just how careful he has to play with the throttle. Oh, and we have one. It looks like maybe with an issue there diving into turn one. Not sure what happened there or who that was. Was that Michael Dorsey? May have been. Let's back this up. See if maybe he had a little bit of an issue that time. We saw him coming off the apron. Oh man, this is going to start off turn 4. I've seen this one before. And actually, I think it was indeed the 99 earlier. It was in almost the same scenario. This time, unfortunately, can't quite keep it off the inside wall. It's going to get a little damage there. And the unfortunate side for this is he already has a little bit there on the right front. Going to even it out with a little bit on the left front and almost gets in that outside wall. You got to think that car at this point just not really handling too well. And he's trying everything to hold on to that lead lap. But, oh, man, he's off the track here again. And the 99's night is starting to not look so good here. He's maybe thinking about going to have to go to the pits, get something straightened up, get that thing fixed up a little bit, regroup. We talked about Darlington being such a rhythm track, and when you get hit out of that rhythm, something just as simple as hitting the wall, it is so hard to recover. And, you know, did the 71 have an incident here? Now I'm curious about this as well, because he all of a sudden lost about a second in quite a hurry. You got to wonder, did he maybe get wrapped up with something? Oh, here we go. This looks similar to what happened to the 99. We just looked at this. Oh, my goodness. Big moment for Dylan Holland off turn 4. How does he save it? It looked like he might have been laying down his own tire tracks. And that would indeed be where all the time came from. Oh, my goodness. Wicked save. He keeps it off the inside wall. But let me tell you what, if the leader who's in clean air is having that issue, you better believe the rest of the field is struggling with handling. And a caution may not be out of foresight. It looks like he's recovered nicely, though, and not as quick as he was, but maybe starting to try to restretch that gap out. Oh, I don't know, though, man. He is looking really loose right there. You saw him wheeling it off of turn 2. And maybe the 85, Zach Lindgren, maybe he was saving his tires during that whole run, and that's why he was falling so far back. And we'll see now, does maybe he have just enough to catch a leader and pass him here before the first green flag stop of the night. If we can make it to the green flag stop. The 91's about to be under fire here from Brian Jones, looking to the inside here. Not going to get that position that time, but the 91 gets really out of shape. Oh, man. And Caden Henry Oaks goes for almost a similar ride to what we saw from him as well earlier. When he got about 45 degrees sideways, it brought out a caution. And boy, I'll tell you what, he must have only got about 44 degrees sideways. It was really close to being exactly what happened to him the first time. He holds on as well. That seems like every driver, don't matter what position they're in that we're going to right now, they are struggling big time with handling. And that makes me wonder if we're going to see some guys short pit, try to get those tires on earlier. Or do you still try to run this thing out as long as you can? Pack's a bit more split up now. You see the two leaders are running away from everyone else. They are entering turns 3 and 4 now as the rest of the field is working their way through 1 and 2. 85's got it down to 0.3 of a second, about 3 car lengths. Telling you what, he might be there. He's got to run a little bit of a different line, though. You can't keep yourself in that dirty air for too long or your car's not going to handle too well. They dive down to turn 1. You see, it's kind of an interesting line here for 1 and 2. I mean, you see that it's a diamond shape, but that white line, people can go below that if they want, but the only time you really see them do so is they kind of try to hook it on the entrance to turn 1, and we'll show you what I'm talking about here. Actually, let's take a ride this time with Zach Lindgren. 3 and 4, you see, is kind of run your preferred line, maybe get out of the dirty air. I just cannot get over how easy these guys have to be on the throttle right now. I mean, he's not even putting the pedal down until he is completely straight. There you go. You got to get it all the way up to the wall, hope it sticks. Then you really diamond it back down. You see, it looks like right now the 85 is able to get down a little sooner. You got to wonder if that's what's helping them. I think it is. But these two are kind of trading lap times right now. And when that's the case and two cars are about even, the one thing that can separate them from each other is pit stops. Who gets in better, who gets out better, and who has a faster time. And the pit crews are pretty even, but like we said, it's a tricky pit road to get into and just as tricky to get out of. No banking on the way out, really. Maybe a little bit, but man, if you spin just a little bit, that can cost you half a second. That's a lot of time to make up at a track like Darlington. Let's go back, see how some of these guys are doing further back. Looks like Walker Thomas, Kyle Smalley, Marcus Adams, David Schildhouse. A lot of these guys, Aiden Kirker, James McKee, J.R. Houston, But so it looks like 8th up. They're kind of all on an island by themselves. Ooh, the 20. Here we go. We're going to see our first pit stop. And guess what? We're also going to see our first mistake. Big lockup. Almost spins and gets into the barrels. He holds on to it. But you got to wonder, did that cost him more time than he needed? And potentially a speeding penalty or an unsafe pit, depending on how he entered. This is the first driver we're seeing in the pits. It'll be interesting to see if this starts to draw down a bunch of others. A little smoke. I think that was indeed from the 20, though. Yep, sure enough. And if we don't see him making his way out of pit road shortly, then that's pretty much all the insight you need to know that J.R. Houston probably got a penalty. He is going to take 4 tires. And lucky him, he's got the pit box just in front of the choose cone. You got to assume the NASCAR officials are sitting somewhere around there as well then. And it looks like he somehow made it, didn't get a penalty. Watch this exit. This is pretty tricky. In fact, let's ride on the gearbox, on the nose rather. Pretty slow pit road, and then getting off exit here is where it's going to be tricky. Gotta stay below that yellow line until you get to about the back straightaway, or where the yellow recedes rather. And now that he gets past that blue cone, he can go up. It's back out on track. So it'll be interesting to see, when do we see the leaders pit at this point. If they pit anytime shortly, I think we're going to see at least one more pit stop. Just too many laps to go for these guys to make it the rest of the way, at least I would think. Guess you never know, but at a track like Darlington, I'm thinking that the most they can make on fuel, and this is with them saving a pretty good amount in the next gens, is, and you got to think somewhere between 60 to 70 laps, is Zach Lindgren got into the outside wall pretty good right there. You see a little scratch on the right side. The 85, he's got to be careful. Unless I'm looking, actually give me a sec, maybe he did not get a scratch. He might have been looking at something else. Can't tell if that's a little scrape on the front or just the paint scheme. Did hear someone get into the wall though, and I'm pretty sure it was one of those two. We've seen both of these guys having their moments though, so they just kind of keep trading off. Dylan Holland will pull away a couple tenths, and then he makes a mistake like right there where he gets into the outside wall. And guess who's going to close it right back up? Zach Lindgren. I'm surprised that I haven't mentioned this yet, but when guys get into the outside wall like what you just saw there, Darlington's a little different. A lot of times when you get into it, you don't really stick to it like a lot of other tracks. It's just kind of like a little bump. And they call that the Darlington stripe, and a lot of these guys are going to have it tonight. iRacing doesn't quite have the physics for this, but if we were racing in real life right now, there would be a lot of white and red paint on the right sides of both of your two leaders right now. But that's what you got to do. You got to lay it out. You got to really go for it at a track like Darlington if you're going to make any speed. That's what separates these two from the rest of the field. In fact, the gap with these two over everyone else right now is about 1.5 seconds from at least the next closest guy, that being Walker Thomas in the 12. We said had some speed earlier. Looks like he has found some of that speed back, and he may be tracking these guys down just a little bit as well. We'll see what he can do. Looks like he does have it under 2 seconds now. And I was kind of wondering, who was it going to be that we would see save extra tire than everybody else here tonight? And how would that pan out for him? Looks like so far it's panning out pretty nicely. We are approaching lap 70 here, and if that estimate that I gave everybody's right, again, I gotta believe the pit window is somewhere between 50 to 70, maybe 75 laps on fuel. I think that's probably the farthest guys can make it, 70 to 75, maybe more like 70. And we'll see if they stay out till lap 80 or 90. You got to think they can definitely make it. If they come in now, maybe it'd be close. We'll have to see, but we are approaching the halfway mark in just a few laps rather. We will be over halfway through this race, and had a couple cautions early. Since then, it's been pretty green. And on that note, we're going to take a quick side-by-side break, but you won't miss a thing. Stick with us. Back live at Darlington Raceway here on Ghost Racing Network, and if you are just tuning in, we certainly appreciate you being here. Dylan Holland has had his ups and downs. He's hit the wall a couple times, got loose, but even with all that being said, he is still your leader, and he has led the most so far here tonight. We are now over halfway through the race here tonight at Darlington, and I keep saying tonight, the race though itself is not at night during the day. A little surprised. I thought it would be a night race, but it's not, and I assume that's because these guys are following the actual Cup schedule. And with that being said, you can only assume that the next track that they head to would believe be the All-Star Race track of North Wilkesboro, but we'll have to see, I guess. Bryce should be back either way, whatever they do next. Still have maybe a couple pit stops here. Looks like Brandon Hoff, he is on the pits. 59. We saw him showing a lot of speed on that first run. Started to struggle, fell back, and man, has just not been able to recover since. And he's one of those drivers that would probably love to see a caution right now. The thing about cautions at this track is you most likely will lose a lap pitting, especially if you're pretty far back. And you certainly don't want the caution to come out while you're trapped a lap down. If you can get it as soon as you go into the pits, that's probably the best time to do so. The 05 there, you see on new tires getting a lap back. We saw the 05 in an incident earlier. Nothing he could do about it. That is Brad Peters, but although he was a lapper, that's showing you right there just the difference on fresh tires. Let's see if we can compare these two. Brad Peters only got 2 laps on him right now. And actually, he may have... I wonder if he was just coming back out on track. Not sure what the deal is. We'll get back to that in a minute. Your leader right now, keep an eye on this because we will take a look at the lap times when he comes out. It's like his last 2 laps were a 31.1 and a 31.2. That's probably going to fall off maybe at least another 1/10 of a second. See what happens here. Four Corners Racing League is, of course, sponsored by Under Pressure Power Washing Services. We also do have the link to their website, which, of course, you could have went to vote for. The voting is now closed, by the way, and that means we should have a winner. We will announce that here shortly. And I just got word that the Choose car got 7 minutes of required damage. And so they were using the cone at the pit exit. And I got to be honest, I am more than curious on how that damage occurred. And is there a way that I can figure this out? Where in the world did he get the damage? Hold on, this was the initial choose cone. And he was just stopped. Did anyone hit him? Oh my goodness. What? Alrighty, well, somebody did not make the choose cone in time. And, you know, I don't think that's what they had in mind. That is just about as bizarre as Juan Pablo Montoya hitting the jet dryer. What in the world? That was the 59. What in the... That is wild to me, but either way, that was the 59, Brandon Hoff, and let's ride on board with them. And maybe this is why all of a sudden the 59 had been struggling. Could he just not see it? Oh my goodness, he couldn't. I mean, to be honest, he kind of didn't see it till the end. It's almost like it was right in the crossbar and tried to avoid it. But I'll tell you what, if we had a blooper reel, that one is definitely going on there. That's pretty funny, but going back up front, Dylan Holland is still leading the way, still ripping the diamond on both parts of the track, it looks like. Working his way out of turns 3 and 4, but how about Walker Thomas? Has tracked him down well over 2.5 seconds and is now almost within half a second distance. We've seen a lot of guys, though, catch this 71 car. We have yet to see anybody make a pass on him. Maybe that changes here. We'll have to find out. Again, 81 of 145 completed. The 85, Zach Lindgren, he's starting to catch a little bit as well. He's one of the guys that had to run for it. Fell back. Looking for Kyle Smalley here. And he may be pit. Yeah, sure enough. On the pits now. There's the 23 also on the pits. That's Jordan Weaver. Just in front of these two. Brian Jones. They're all going to make their way out of pit road at the same time. And now we're starting to see more and more. I think we're going to continue to see guys getting drawn down by this. Oh, man, the 71. Another big wiggle. That time looks like maybe laid down a little bit of tire smoke. And that's going to give Walker Thomas a big opportunity here. This is going to hurt the 71. Looks like the 5 caught him kind of at a bad time, but the new tire is going to work out. Kyle Smalley is not going to lose a lap. He goes right by the 71. Ooh, man, the 2 on the front stretch. Almost going to go around. A lot of chaos happening right now in front of your leader. This is not what he wants to see. Keeps it together. That was Keith Smalley, by the way, in the 2. We saw get really low, held onto it. We have seen a lot of really good saves here tonight. And take a look at the walls on both parts of the track. I really noticed it in turns 1 and 2. Let's see if we have it up here in 3 and 4. And that's the scuff marks. 3 and 4 doesn't look too bad so far. I definitely believe that I did see some in 1 and 2. We'll have to check it out. 23 is on new tires, looking to get by the 71 here. It's going to get a little side draft down the front. Dives in, no contest there, of course, with those new tires. And actually, no, I'm not really seeing any scuff marks like I initially had thought. Oh, the 71 finally loses it. He kept getting loose and loose, and this time he has finally destroyed the 71 machine. Outside wall got tagged by the 12, and then he went big into the inside wall. Oh, man, he might have a broken toe link or something. Oh, he's going to try to limp this thing around. No caution. This is really, really bad news right now for Dylan Holland. Had potentially one of the top 2 cars of the night, and, man, the suspension, oh, man, this is bad. Suspension is terminally damaged on that thing. And just like that, the winning car, ladies and gentlemen, has now went to the car with the most damage on track. Oh, back to the outside wall. This is not looking good. This is still not drawing the caution yet somehow. And he's just trying to keep it out of everyone's way here. Gets it down to the bottom, and he is going to have to limp his way back to the pits here, hoping that it can turn here on the flat. Surely he doesn't stay out. No, he's not. He's going to get that thing nice and woed up. Limps it to the pits, but, oh, that is a horrible, horrible break. Let's back this up all the way to where it starts here for Dylan Holland. And, man, he saved it probably more times than I could count. But, again, eventually you can only save it so many times before you can't. And out of turn 2, he finally didn't. Let's go TV2 on this one. And you see here, Walker Thomas had been catching. I'm not sure if that was putting more pressure, but he got a little loose. And this time, instead of just overcorrected, really, really hard thing to do, but either way, overcorrects. And, man, the 12 got some front-end damage from that as well. And then he gets slammed from the 12, of course, had nowhere to go either. And he's trying to keep it out of the inside wall, can't do it, and that's where the big hit is. And I think that's the hit that damaged the suspension the most. Although he tagged the outside wall pretty good, too. And even after this, right here, the suspension's broke. He may not have known it yet. You see he's turning the wheel, and not turning too great. And he's trying to get out of everyone's way there by just getting it up in the wall. He knows he's already got damage. Figures no point in taking anyone else out. And that could shake things up. It looks like the 12, I'm assuming he has coming to pits. Let's look at his lap times. Tell you what, that's the best way to tell. Maybe not. But at the same time, it doesn't look like he's got any front end damage anymore. Unless I missed something here. Still running pretty slow lap times. You know what, actually, hold on. Let's take that back. I'll let everybody know here in just a moment. Walker Thomas, looks like... yeah, I don't think he's pit yet. It's a little interesting, though, that the damage on the front end has disappeared. Let's go back to where the... You know what? We're just going to leave it alone, actually. I take it back, but... Either way, we definitely saw the 12 get some damage. I don't know if he did pit. I'm just missing something, or the damage buffed out, but it certainly looks a lot cleaner than it did just a minute ago, where the front end was pretty caved in. And I'm pretty sure I'm just missing something here. Either way, he is your current leader out in front, but Henry Oakes, the guy in second, is way back, 21 seconds back, in fact. And yeah, sure enough, the 12, there's no way he's pitted yet because the rest of the field is a lap down. Let's go back and check out how Dylan Holland has fared after all that. Still coming in, going to repair more damage on that thing. This is going to definitely end his night for sure. He would need a ton of cautions to even have a chance, and just don't see that happening with, well, just over 50 laps here to go. So this might all of a sudden now be Walker Thomas's race to lose, depending on what strategy he's playing. And I'll tell you what, if he hasn't pit yet and he's still planning on pitting, that pit stop will be his last pit stop. It's coming up now on the 02 car. See if he can work by that without any issues. Boy, we have had an eventful night, haven't we? We had, I mean, it started off beautiful cars, beautiful paint schemes, couple cautions early. Took out some of those beautiful paint schemes. Dylan Holland, the most dominant car of the night, finally wrecks it. And now his night's over, all in that. And don't forget about the fact that the choose cone got absolutely obliterated, and his night came to an end as well. Definitely has not been disappointing so far here tonight for the Four Corners Racing League. There's the 5 of Kyle Smalley. We saw him with about a top 3 run earlier on. We'll see if he can get it back here once somebody gets their lap back. But Brian Jones trying to come to life about Chris Worrell. Marcus Adams. It looks like, the 12 of Walker Thomas. He has finally brought that thing down to the pits. And actually, you know what I'm wondering here? That is still really odd to me. I'm not sure what happened to the damage, because we definitely saw it on replay, unless it's just there and for whatever reason I cannot see it. And we will see, I guess, if he decides to stay in to repair anything or not here, or if he's just going to take his tires and then take his leave. He looks like he got into pits pretty smoothly. Probably one of the few guys. Oh, we got a spinner on the front stretch. Surely this one draws the caution, and it does. So this is going to change some stuff up, and I can't tell who that is just yet. Looks like it might be Nick Olson. And he was up inside the top 10 too when he spun the 24 machine around. And just when you think, well, you know what? I take that back. I kind of was expecting a caution. I just didn't really know when. And this is going to answer that question as we get one here. Well over halfway, and we might be going green with around 100 laps, 45 laps to go, or 100 laps in with 45 laps to go. And that might make the racing a little bit more crazier than it's already been. But let's go take a look here. What brings this caution out? See, the 24 is already sideways and around. To get some help here, is this just going to be another case of a guy getting really loose? Well, you see, that's the 20, and this is almost the same spot that we saw the 20 make contact with someone earlier. Ooh, the 24, I think the 24 may have thought that he was going to get really tight there, didn't want to get up into the 59. But actually, more than that, the 20 of JR Houston looks like he also got a little loose on the top line. And let's back this up a little more. I think I might know what happens here to the 20. Watch this big checkup here. I think that big checkup, the 20 JR Houston saw that. So he tried to make that abrupt move to the top line to get around it. And again, we talked about it earlier. The cars don't really like that. And when he does so, gets a little loose. When he comes down, hits the 24. That sends the 22 into the outside wall before getting back. Keeps it out of the inside wall, but spins it around a few times. And that was all it took to draw a caution. He gets it rolling pretty quick, gets it back off track. But either way, it was enough to bring out the caution. Let's take a couple more views of it here. And actually, let's look at this. I take that back. I was going to say let's look at it from the pit lane cam, but I don't think that's going to give us too good of a view. Take one final shot here from on board the 24, who of course was the one that went spinning, Nick Olson. And this is a pretty good view of one of the paint schemes there. That's the 15 though, Nathan. Let's see here. Yeah, it looks like maybe just got a little bit below that kind of an apron. It's not as abrupt here at Darlington as it is at some tracks, but that was a pretty good little smack. Not sure how much damage it did to the 24, but it definitely did some worth probably repairing. Going back live there, sure enough, 24 is in pit road, right front damage. Up front, Walker Thomas. Boy, that caution came out at about perfect timing for the 12 car. He is your leader. Caden Henry Oaks going to be in second after spinning earlier in the 91 machine. David Schildhaus in third, Brandon Hoff in fourth, and Calvin Allison up 16 spots. We've seen him, though, here in the top 5. And I'm wondering here if the choose cone has made his way back out on track or not. Or if we're going to have him back out on track, I should say. Oh, well, he's doing a little drift in action here. So maybe the choose cone looks like he has got his damage repaired, and we are going to see another choose cone. And he's got to be feeling a little scared right now, at least when he sees the 59 car, because he may get tagged again this time. It's pretty funny, though. Putting on a little show for the fans there as he gets ready to whip it around here past the start-finish line. Again, never seen that before, and I don't know how I feel about it. It's definitely cool, but, I mean, you know, as simple as you would think of guys being able to get around it without issue, that's clearly not the case, and I thought we had a choose cone cam earlier, but I'm thinking we got a cooler one, and that's going to be this one right here. The cockpit view. Ryan Hines, of course, is your dedicated choose cone here tonight. Joseph Grijalva has retired from the race. Retired on, I believe it was actually the first lap. This will be the one to go signal this time, by the way. And it looks like we're going to go top. Wow. Well, those actually are guys I think that are getting the wave around because it looked like Walker Thomas, your leader, took the bottom. And funny enough, looked like a lot of guys went extra low right there. And I think some of these guys try to play games with each other. I think some of them try to wait till the absolute last second in hopes that maybe they get the guy behind them to mess it up and maybe hit him. But everybody is going to avoid hitting the choose cone. This time they all get around. Ryan Hines is just going to go ahead and park that thing back as they get ready to go. Back green here, 1 to go. So row 1, it's going to be Walker Thomas, Caden Henry Oaks. Row 2 is going to be Calvin Allison, David Schildhouse. And row 3 is going to be Brandon Hoff, who we saw, of course, hit that choose cone early. But putting that aside, you know, I don't want that to overcast this guy's day, although I kind of poked a little fun at it just because I've never seen, well, either the choose cone or someone hitting it before. But all in all, the 59, we talked about it. He showed a lot of speed earlier. He's got himself back up here now. You got to figure the damage wasn't too bad from what he did get. Hoping that he got it repaired, and I'm looking to see him show a lot of speed right here. And it looks like we're actually going to go ahead and go one more round right here. So I guess the way it works, it's probably a delayed green when they do the choose cone, and because of that, I guess they have to do one more round. Now the lights go off, so this will officially be the one to go. We'll see if the 99 could do anything on that outside line or not. The 12, Walker Thomas, we know he has long run speed. We saw that. Not sure what he's got for the short run. That's what we're getting ready to find out. Calvin Allison, same deal. We knew, well, he's kind of the opposite. We knew he had short run speed, but once he got to long run, it seemed like he started to struggle. J.R. Houston, as long as he's on pretty even tires, I'm interested to see what this guy can do. Had to pit earlier to catch up on the tire strategy after what appeared to be him staying out. And Dylan Holland, for all that damage earlier, he has, I think, called it a night, or at least he is still sitting on pit road for the time being. If you are just tuning in, you're watching the Four Corners Racing Lead, presented by the Under Pressure Power Washing Services here at the Darlington Raceway. 98 of 145 laps complete. We're starting to slowly but surely wind this thing down. Walker Thomas, I think after eliminating Dylan Holland, this is the next guy that's got the best chance. Green flag is back in the air. He gets a good jump this time. The 12 is going to get clear high, and he is going to take it. Walker Thomas immediately to the high side. Watch for the 28, Calvin Allison. We saw him get loose on a couple restarts before. He's stuck on the low side. Drifting up a little bit. Maybe gets into the 0-2. Not a lot of room to work here. Darlington guys kind of squeezing each other. They get through it clean throughout the whole field. New tires have seemed to keep everybody under control for the most part. That first lap's the only really sketchy one. 20, J.R. Houston rides up a little bit, looking for a little clean air there in between. Gets it cut off. His nose cut off, rather, as Brandon Hoff is going to take that position from the 20 on the front straightaway. That moves him up to 5th. And J.R. Houston is up 13 spots from where he started. 12 diving back down to the bottom. Oh, man. Did the 91 of Caden Henry Oaks get into the outside wall? Well, if he did, he saved it, but I think he did because he's going to lose 2 positions right here. There goes the 28. The 0-2 is looking to follow on the inside. Can he get it? 91's trying to hold him off. And it looks like, oh man, they almost make more contact. Does hold him off. Further back, we got a side-by-side battle here between Kyle Smalley and Brian Jones, 6, giving a little shot. It's Chris Worrell, excuse me. The 9 looking to get clear. The 23 again. This is the time. You got to make your track position if you can. I think it'd be interesting here. Walker Thomas, does he maybe change his strategy now that he has the lead? And I'll tell you what, I really feel bad for Dylan Holland right now because this caution did not come too long after he wrecked his car, basically. And, you know, if that caution would have came before that incident happened, I think Dylan Holland still has a good shot to win this race. But caution did come out. Dylan Holland with a destroyed car, and he's sitting pretty far back now, not looking like he is going to be able to complete this race. We are now over the 100-lap mark. In real life, this race is brutally long. Here tonight, not too bad, but Darlington definitely runs pretty fast. Looking at the dashboard, these guys are on new tires. And speaking of which, I meant to look at the lap time, so let's go ahead and do those first. And this is some of the back runners, if you will, right now. Not back runners in general, but this is the stat that has me just amazed. Look at the lap time, 29.4 and 29.5. So that's the effect of new tires. Remember, on old tires, these guys were running 31s. So that is just about 31.1. So almost a 2-second fall off from new tires to old tires. You can see just how important they are. I do think everybody is good to go on fuel. So I don't think we're expecting any more pit stops unless anybody decides to pit for tires. And of course, if we have a caution, you better believe that all these guys are going to pit for tires. Unless, of course, you're in the back. Maybe try a little strategy. It looks like Calvin Allison this time maybe found a little something in that 28 Ford Mustang, but the 02 is going to look to the inside. David Shieldhouse once more. Does the 28 give it to him? Fighting back on the top. Can't quite make it stick, though. The 28 does get clear off of 4. He's going to move right up to the high side. Side by side back here between the 59 of Brandon Hoff and the 91 of Caden Henry Oaks. The 20, J.R. Houston, he's watching these two go at it. He's got to be careful. But at the same time, he's looking, if either one of them slip up, he's going to do it. Surely he doesn't think about 3 wide. I feel like if you have a big enough run, you can do it on the straightaway. But, man, doing it in the turns here with as treacherous as it's been tonight would be a really, really tricky situation to put yourself in. It looks like Caden Henry Oaks is trying his best to work the outside, but just struggling right now. And tell you what, Brandon Hoff up to 4th now. Oh, and the 20 slipped up, got into the 91 it looks like, and now the 5 maybe gets in the 20. I think they all hold on to it. Let's back it up, see what happens here. 20 maybe was getting just a little bit impatient. J.R. Houston, or are they going to go 3? Nope, they were not even near 3 wide yet. And you see, I think the 20 is going to commit here. Sure enough, he does. And the 91 is going to dive it pretty low, says, you know what, I'm going to go for it, tries to stick with him. I think JR pretty much put all his cards there on getting clear and didn't quite do it. And because of that, you see, slides up into the 91. Contact ensues. I do want to ride on board, confirm that right here with J.R. Houston. This is one of those moves where it's kind of like cat and mouse. You're daring that other driver to go in with you. In this case, Caden said, all right, I'm going with you. And, oh, man, once they get stuck together, a little hard to get unstuck, but they do, and they save it. Heck of a save by both guys, and it keeps the screen. Kyle Smalley back here, but I'll tell you what, the guy that got the worst of that, Caden Henry Oaks, boy, he has fallen big time since that contact. It was a pretty hard hit, and man, you see he's back in the wall there again. Now at this point, it is all about damage control. He is trying to survive as long as he can. The 27 looking to get by. There goes the 24, who we saw spinning that last time, and said that brought out the most recent caution. Still got the damage on the right front, but trying to pick up as many positions as he can. Walker Thomas, David Shieldhouse looking to knock on his back door right here. And you got to wonder, is the 12 saving some tire? Or has David Shieldhouse found something here? Ooh, man, the 12 got into the wall. He's got to run here. Does he take it? No, he doesn't. He's going to stick behind him down into 3. Going to get a little momentum here out of 4. The 02 is running a little bit lower. And I think if you're Walker Thomas, and you're looking in your mirror, you got to try to find a way to cut off the clean air for that 02, but he's not been able to do so just yet. 02 back to the top. Oh, man, he's getting a little loose. Almost got to the outside wall, but he gets a big run off because of it. This time, I think he's going to look to the inside. A little bit of a block here by Walker Thomas. Gives him a big shot into the turn. The 12, that might send him up the track a little bit. Yellow flag is out, and that might have been in perfect timing for Walker Thomas because he was about to be in some trouble. As it looks like this might have been Roberto Ramirez. Couldn't tell. See if we can find where this starts. A little blimp cam here. And was it in this pack right here? Oh, sure enough. Oh my goodness. Big hit. I believe that was Jared. See if we can go back here. Yep, sure enough, Jared Wishon. It's going to be where this starts. Wow, he destroyed front end of that thing. So you get a little help here. It looked like maybe he did through the center of the corner, and his car is already a handful enough, and that is not a good spot to push. And it looked like that's what happened here. Trying to play it from a different view here. Watch the 24 trying to drop low. That is Nick Olson, and I don't know if the 27 might have just got a little loose, a little tight, and had to check up. The 24 gets into the back of him slightly, but that's all it took. 27 gets loose, overcorrects, and this is a big, big hit. Back down, gets into the 27, who had absolutely nowhere to go, and man, Dylan Holland already had his night ruined. Tried to get back out here on track to make something of it, and as a gift for that, he gets another T-bone and more damage to the 71 machine. A couple more looks at this here. Here's that impact. Man, but he absolutely destroyed it. You see the left, or the right front, excuse me, is not even connected to the car anymore. Take a quick ride on board here. And it looks, I mean, not too surprised, but it sounds like it is also going to go ahead and finish off the motor. And that is probably going to finish off his night, too, with a 27. Was in an incident earlier, was still back out here fighting, but caught up in an incident where he's maybe not too happy with the 24 of Nick Olson. But again, at the same time, if he had a checkup, not really much Nick could do, just kind of a racing deal. But either way, did not work out too well for either of the two parties involved in that incident. Actually, you know what? I'll tell you what. I don't think Nick Olson got too much damage from it. He is on the pits. What else I expected here was everybody to go down the pits. Not sure if everyone went down or not. I can tell you we'll certainly know on the restart here, but it looks like Chris Worrell has taken the lead, so you got to wonder if maybe he's trying some strategy play here. Walker Thomas, who was leading in second. David Schildhaus, who's about ready to take the lead, currently sitting in third. Caden Henry Oaks in fourth. Calvin Allison in fifth. Brandon Hoff sixth. Seventh is going to be Kyle Smalley. Eighth, J.R. Houston. Marcus Adams in ninth. And Zach Lindgren in 10th. 113 laps to go, so we're just about that 30 lap mark to go. Those final, now I'd say the lap count on when these guys, if you have a set left, of course, you got to think by now everyone's used probably at least 3. I think we've had some guys maybe use 4, so I think everybody's probably got at least 1 set left. Maybe a couple guys have 2, hard to say, but if we get a restart, or if we get a caution and then a restart somewhere within, I would say 15 to go, and you have a set of tires, I think you are putting yourself in position to win this thing. And that's when we're going to see everyone that does have tires go all out. I mean, even if you don't have tires, you got to go all out with 15 to go. Use them up. No point in going home with tires that are still unused, especially if you have a chance to go stick some Goodyears on certain tracks. Maybe play a little strategy, stay out. Darlington tonight has not proven to be one. And there's the choose cone. We didn't really get to look at it too much this time. I don't think anybody's hit it just yet. And it seems like he keeps switching directions. One time he'll be face forward, another time he'll be face backwards. Looks like this time he's going to face forward, and you got to wonder if that's so he can actually drive off this time. Or if he's just going to tow it. And nope, just going to go ahead and tow it. Back on pit road goes the choose cone of Ryan Hines. Chris Worrell chose the bottom. And if he's on older tires here, I got to think that's a pretty smart decision, but I think he needs to get a good jump, and he really needs to get clear of the 12 of Walker Thomas. If he doesn't, and somehow they're side by side in turn 1, I do not think this is going to end too well. Especially if he starts sliding at all. We know Walker Thomas is not in position to be given an inch right now. Caden Henry Oaks got roughed around a little bit earlier, but he's back up here in the second row. See if he can make something work alongside of David Schildhaus. Row 3 is going to be Calvin Allison. Brandon Hoff back up here in the 59. We saw him making some moves on the last run. It could be the final restart, or it could be the start of a strand of cautions. Coming into the Geico restart zone. Green flag is back in the air for Chris Worrell. And he did get that good jump that I was talking about he needed. So he is well clear. He'll be able to at least hold off that 12 car of Walker Thomas, at least through turns 1 and 2. But watch the 12 to get a big run down the backstretch. A lot of jockeying for position. Almost 3 wide there. Kyle Smalley thought thinking about it. Oh, we got a wreck out back. Oh, man, a lot of guys, couple different wrecks. Caution is out, and I was just talking about Kyle Smalley was looking for 3 wide. I thought that's where the wreck would happen. It may have, but before that, there was a wreck even behind these guys. Like it was the 31 of Marcus Adams. These guys both get it rolling. In fact, looks like Marcus Adams gets it rolling backwards. He's got to make a J-turn at some point here. And sure enough, there you go. Some damage to the front end of that 31. All right, let's take a look here. This starts in a couple different spots. The first wreck here that I'm assuming initially brought out the caution is going to be the one that starts back here. And the 31, oh, he's just getting a little loose. He just gets loose, comes down the 9 with just absolutely nowhere to go. That's James McKee. Everyone else was able to avoid these two. This is going to be a pretty good hit for the 9 machine. Yeah, definitely going to be pretty terminal front end damage. I think he'll be able to come back out if it didn't blow the engine. Then further up front, something happened with Brandon Hoff, and sure enough, it was Kyle Smalley. I thought was maybe thinking about 3 wide off turn 2. He doesn't. And let's see what happens. Oh, actually, this was not Kyle Smalley's fault, but looks like the 20, J.R. Houston, going to try to take it 3 wide here and clips Brandon. Did Brandon try to throw a block, though? That's the only part I could not tell yet. I don't think he did. I think he just got hooked. And I don't know if there was a lot of room there or not, but tell you what, J.R. Houston was ready to try it. He said, we've ran this race 2 wide long enough. I'm going to try 3 wide. If it works, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. In this case, it just did not. And the 59 was coming down here, and looks like, yeah, just 59 was going to be coming down. The 20 gets into his left rear, and 59 goes for a spin here, and he is also going to hit the inside wall with the back end. Probably for the best, at least to hit the back over the front. Kyle Smalley was able to avoid any actual damage. Going back live, 117 now of 145 complete up front. Walker Thomas, I don't know if he's taking the lead. I think Chris Worrell is actually just coached right now. He may still be your leader. Couldn't tell. We'll find out here after these guys decide what to choose cone. David Schildhouse, though, is in third. I know that. Caden Henry Oaks, fourth. Calvin Allison, fifth. Kyle Smalley, 6th. J.R. Houston, 7th. Zach Lindgren, 8th. Brian Jones, 9th. And Aiden Kirker in 10th. Been a pretty eventful race, and we are going to be going green with what's looking like 25, maybe a lap or 2 less than that to go. It's going to certainly get wild. 25 to go, not that long. I think everybody still probably has not used that tire set. I don't think we went green, obviously, long enough there, not even a lap. So I'm not really sure why you'd pit. But if we can run, I'd say even 5 laps and then we get a caution, I think you're going to see a lot of guys pit, especially if you're in the back. And you know you got to try something to win. Maybe if you're up front in a position such as Walker, Thomas, or Chris, maybe you don't, but anybody else I think maybe gives it a shot. David Schildhouse, maybe borderline. Caden Henry Oaks, I think he would be that first driver for certain that would go in, if not everybody above him as well. And let's see, these guys come to the choose cone this time. Looks like sure enough they are. And Ryan Hines, I guess, has decided he likes facing the correct direction more than he does backwards. And let's take a look at the, let's see, what can we get a view of this? How about rear chase? Sure enough, there you go. It's kind of funny. You see it's got a little GoPro there on the roll bar, but we can't actually see that camera. And assume that these guys are still going to do 2 to go. We are going to take a side-by-side. Actually, we'll wait till we finish the choose cone. Oh, man, that was almost another incident with the choose cone car. They keep it together. Looks like further back. Somebody is waiting for a couple cars to catch up. And I'll tell you what, I think we're going to go ahead and hold off on that break that I thought we were going to have. So it looks like he tows it back. So the other two are just going to have to line up where they are. And this time we do have the lights off, so we should be going 1 to go right here. Getting a green flag this time. Chris Worrell was able to hold him off for at least half a lap. Didn't really get time to see what the fresh tires for Walker Thomas could do. Fresher tires, if you will. If you are still tuning in, it's been a little bit long, but I appreciate everybody being here. If you got someone that you're rooting for, make sure you drop it in the chat. All right, here we go. Pace car is going to pull off. It is going to be 26 laps to go here for the green. Chris Worrell got a good restart last time. He's going to need another good one this time. Into the Geico restart zone. He does. He gets a good start. Is he going to jump up top here? Stays to the bottom right now. He's trying to keep that 0-2 of David Schildhouse side by side with Walker Thomas as long as he can. Ooh, a little contact. Oh, another big hit. It takes out the next 2 best cars. Caution is going to fly again. Oh, man, another mistake that 2 of the best guys. Oh, man, I hate to see this. Maybe a little bit of impatience or 2 guys going for it a little bit harder than they needed to right now. And you know what? That was the 2. I think that was the next 2 fastest cars in the lobby tonight after Dylan Holland wrecked himself out. And now they are also destroyed. So we're going to rack them up and do it again. And, well, now I think you're Chris Worrell, excuse me. I think that you maybe did the best option possible. All right, let's go take a look here. Going back to where this is going to start. Man, that was brutal, too. That was a big hit for both drivers. Back to David Schildhouse. He got a good jump, and see he's moving up a little bit. The 12, Walker Thomas, I mean, this late in the race, I think he's decided, you know what? I can't give him any room. He's going to try to get down here for the side draft. I think the 0-2 was maybe looking for a clear. Just slight contact. I wouldn't say either guy really did anything wrong. It was just a decision. Walker Thomas decided he wasn't going to give much room. The 0-2 decided he was going for it. And that slight contact led to a big hit for David Shieldhouse. This most definitely destroyed the 0-2. Watch this hit. Dead, almost dead, 90-degree angle. And then, of course, he gets into the 12 of Walker Thomas, who takes equally as big of an impact. And then everybody else is going to pile in here with just nowhere to go. See up top, the 24, Nick Olson, he piles in. Looks like Caden Henry Oaks, J.R. Houston. They all get in there with nowhere to go. We had one further back. It might be Brandon Hoff. Looks like right against the wall, but I don't think he actually got any contact. And does everyone else miss this? Oh, man, it was close, but it looks like the two up top just snuck by. Man, that got really close for a second. Take one more view of this here. And sure enough, you saw David Shieldhouse just had the toe. Watch the hit by Walker Thomas still. There you go. And, I mean, you got to assume, obviously, we know that destroyed the front of the 0-2. That's a big enough hit where you got to assume that probably destroyed the suspension as well for the 12, which is also a costly repair. And the 24 is going to finish it off here with a T-bone. Nowhere he could go either. Let's go back live up front. Chris Worrell leading the way here with 24 laps to go. We'll see when we get to choose cone. Calvin Allison second, Kyle Smalley third, Zach Lindgren in fourth, and Aiden Kirker in fifth. All right, well, I'll tell you what, as we're getting ready to go green here, and we still got a lap or so before we're going to do so, let's pull up Chris Vanderplatz and see what he's thinking about all this racing. Hey, Chris, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
I am, man. How are you doing today, Austin?
I'm doing pretty good. Well, I mean, the first thing I'll talk about, the racing has been crazy. Started out really good early. It's gotten a little messy here towards the end, but we know that's just guys going at it at a track as narrow as Darlington. But what I want to ask you is, in that situation of what we just saw there, do you think it was really worth the 12 and the 0-2, maybe the two fastest cars left, going at it that hard?
Man, we're getting towards the end, and there's a lot of talent on this track. These guys can drive fast, and Darlington is one of the toughest tracks I've ever run to pass on. So you got to take every opportunity there is, and when you got all that talent running up front, and that gap opens, you know these guys unfortunately have three people dodging that same hole. So I think there's just a lot of action. The storyline keeps changing.
It certainly does, making it pretty exciting up here to watch. Next thing I want to ask you about here is, how about all the fabulous paint schemes we saw it here tonight? We had the competition, and I didn't announce the winner yet because I wanted to save it for you, and I think everybody at home is waiting to hear it.
Man, I tell you, we had I think about 20 submissions, which is just I mean, the league participation was just amazing, but even more was the voting activity. I've been watching it since about Sunday night. And it's been a neck and neck run, just like this race tonight. But I do want to give a congratulations to Kyle Smalley in the number 5 refresh paint. He just squeezed it out right at the end. I think it was by maybe 2 votes, but yeah, Kyle took it home, and we'll be getting a $50 prize.
And ironically enough, Kyle's leading the way, so he might be taking home the win as well, but he does have some right front damage. All right, we're getting ready to go back green, so thanks for talking to us, Chris, and we'll see you next time.
All right, thank you.
That was Chris Vanderplatz. There you go, your winner, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate everybody that did vote. Kyle Smalley also leading them back to green here. Well, not leading them back to green, but leading the outside. Chris Worrell is actually the leader of the race right now. Chose the inside there on that choose cone. And this might be the final restart here, but I keep saying that we keep getting another caution. 21 laps to go at Darlington. We're back green. Chris Worrell gets a good jump. Ooh, that outside line stacks up big. That is going to open the door for Calvin Allison to dive down to turn 1. This is where we've seen things start to get a little sketchy. The 28's got to hold it down. This time you see the 5 gives him a lot more room to work with. 85 getting a little loose out back. The 39 is going to try to stick it down. Kyle Smalley finds a gap to hop in. Further back. Oh, we got a spinner on the backstretch. Caution's back out. It looks like the 2 of David, not David Shieldhouse, the 2 of Keith Smalley, excuse me. And sure enough, single car incident, finds himself, not sure if he hit the inside wall here or not. He certainly spun to the inside. Another good looking paint scheme tonight, but not the way he wanted to use it. So we get our 7th caution now with 20 laps to go. Let's go take a look here. Keith Smalley, did he get some help? Looking like from this view, maybe he did. Let's see if we could get any better angle of it. And not sure if he was loose or what, but sure enough, he does get a tap from the 9 car, James McKee. And, oh, the 05 trying to sneak by up top. Looks like he does. Maybe just a little scuff, and that does send the 2 around. Does he save this here? Oh, my goodness. Right here, you got to turn that wheel back to the right. Oh, he doesn't, unfortunately. And it looks like he's going to back it into the inside wall. I thought he was going to pull one of those moves. Of course, we have it in slow motion right now, so it looks a lot easier than it really was. Let's ride on board here, and we'll show you just how hard it probably was to predict it. Oh. And, you know, you got to assume at that point, maybe if he just, I'm not sure, but wasn't quite able to save it either way. Brings out, like we said, the 7th caution tonight. We'll give you one more look at it. We go back live. Could have been, I guess, worse, though. Didn't take out that many cars this time, and damage is going to be just on the back right. Didn't really hit anywhere else in the car, but that's pretty big damage, actually. It almost looks like it separated the rear bumper cover. So the 2's definitely going to have to probably go in for some repairs there as well. I think if you're Chris Worrell right now, you're saying, you know what? If you guys just want to keep bringing out the cautions, that's fine with me. We can caution this thing all the way down to the end. And if we have to, finish it under caution, although I don't know how many green-white checkers we have. I assumed 3, but again, I don't know if we might have 1, we might have 2, we might have none for all I know. Now we're going to have a restart somewhere more around 15, probably say 16 laps to go. And we'll see. I think the 6 continues to choose the bottom. He keeps getting good restart after good restart. Nobody's been able to match him yet. And a lot of cars in the field at this point have at least some damage on one of the 4 corners. Been a pretty good night. We had some good racing earlier, but then as we've seen a lot of these races, and again, especially at a track like Darlington, once we had that first caution late, cautions have kind of bred since. And Chris kind of stated it in a pretty good way. I mean, too much talent out here to just like kind of, I guess, let it go this late in the race. You got to go for what you get. We talked about at the start of the race how crucial restarts were going to be, and guys are showing you that here. Tell you what, we're going to take our final break here, at least. You know what? Yep, nope, final break here, and we're going to go side by side again so you don't miss a thing. We'll be right back. Back live at Darlington Raceway, where we are getting ready for another restart here in the Four Corners Racing League, presented by Under Pressure Power Washing Services. Chris Worrell took the inside again. Kyle Smalley on the outside, but that damage really did seem to hurt him on the last restart. Didn't really have much for the 6. Was able to find himself a little gap to tuck in line. We'll see if he tries that same strategy here again. Starting to run out of laps here. If you got a set of tires, I think at a certain point with as many cautions as we've seen here in the late going, you just got to take them and maybe hope that we don't get any more cautions. I mean, I think we talked about earlier with 15 to go. You got to have that last set of tires on if you're going to take them by then for them to be useful, in my opinion. And here we go. The 6 gets another good jump. The 28, Callan Allison, looks like he is also going to get clear. The 5, Kyle Smalley, jumps in behind. We'll see if everybody can keep it clean this time. We still got 2x2 racing further back. The 9 looks really out of shape, but he keeps it together. The 31 getting a little wiggly. That's JR Houston looking to give a little push to Brandon Hoff. This time we all survive turns 1 and 2. Now I think if these guys can maybe make 5 laps, we might get this thing cleaned up, and we will see. Calvin Allison, he is on the back bumper of the 6. Boy, it did not take long. Maybe looking for a move to the outside. Chris Worrell is going to throw a block, having none of it. Further back, still 2x2. They haven't got it all sorted out just yet. Oh man, the 66 Had to wiggle the 05, has to check up. Oh, Dylan Hahn gets him the 15. They hold it together again. No caution back up front. We're going to keep it up here now because this is where the battle for the lead's shaping up. The 6 of Chris Worrell, he's trying to hold him off, but the 28's looking for clean air. Meanwhile, Kyle Smalley, I thought his damage would start sending him towards the back. He's still up here waiting for one of these two to slip up. The 39 as well. How about Aiden Kirker? Had a really good qualifying effort. Overall, his race has kind of been up and down, but he's back up here when it counts. And Caden Henry Oaks, he's had a run-in with himself, with other drivers, with the wall, just about everything on the track, but survived it, and he's back out here. Oh, the 28, Calvin Allison. He really sent it on the outside. The battle for the lead. Can the 28 get it here down the front stretch? He's going to have the momentum. The 6 knows he's got to hold him off here, or it is not going to have a chance. Dives back to the inside. He's got to be careful. Can't make contact. Keeps it off of him. The 28. Oh, there is going to be some contact here off the corner. The 28 really pinched Chris Worrell. Now he gets to the outside wall. 6 looking back to the bottom. Can he get clear and dive past? No, he's still not. I think that's the fresher tires maybe for the 28. The 6 doing a masterful job of driving right now, doing everything he can with that car to hold on to the 28, but he's finally going to lose it. Gets into the inside wall. Can he keep it down there? Holds on to it, but not after making some contact, and that might end Chris Worrell's chances of getting the win here tonight. Good strategy, just didn't quite play out in his favor. That does hand the lead over to Calvin Allison, and his next biggest competitor might be this 39 machine of Aiden Kirker, who's looking to get by Kyle Smalley. Caden Henry Oaks as well in the 91, still ripping the top, but I'm not sure if he's going to have enough. So Calvin Allison's looking to put a gap. Meanwhile, the thing he probably doesn't want to see right now is all the racing going on back here, because if we don't make it to the white flag, we could very well still see another caution. 23 looking to the outside. That's Jordan Weaver. The 66, John Creighton, sticks it in behind the 6 of Chris Worrell. I was looking back. Looks like the 9. That's the 12 as well. I'll tell you what. Walker Thomas, he had a winning car earlier, made a mistake, got in a wreck, and it kind of tells the story of everybody back here. Oh, and hold on, we got another caution. Spinner, and it's going to be Caden Henry Oaks again. I believe this is his 3rd time being in an incident tonight. Not sure if he got any help or not, but 2nd time spinning on the front stretch. Take a look at it here. Does he get some help? Oh, not sure if he hit Kyle Smalley first or if Brian Jones maybe give him a little tap. Thinking he just got tight. Looks like he's already up the track. And you can't tell from that view. It looks like he gets into Kyle Smalley. And somehow I'm surprised Kyle didn't actually lose it from that. But the 91 rather slides down to the inside. He's going to be able to keep it off the wall this time. And sure enough, it looks like he does. Both times he spun on the front stretch, he's kept it off the inside wall. And right there you go. I was going to say, if he keeps it locked down, he might tap it. You see he rolls off of it just in time to avoid actually hitting it. I want to take a look here from the chopper view. And I'm pretty sure he's just going to get a little tight. That's what it looked like. Kyle Smalley maybe running. Yeah, Kyle Smalley is kind of running down the track a bit. But nothing out of the ordinary. I think that's, again, a racing incident. Like I said, the 91 maybe just getting a little tight. Of course, at the same time, the 5 coming down a little bit. They get together in the 91. Caden Henry Oaks goes for a spin to bring out, I believe, your 8th caution of the night. And oddly enough, I've been racing with a lot more cautions. These ones have felt longer for whatever reason. Calvin Allison. Tell you what, that was a little bit of an odd view. It almost looked like the left front was down. And he was rolling slow at the same time, but I think that was just the way he was sitting on the apron or something. Gets back up here. Well, while these guys are getting ready to go for one final time, normally this would be where we would get a driver's interview, but as I stated earlier, I don't see anybody besides, of course, Chris Vanderplatz, who has joined us briefly to announce the paint winner. We saw him in there, but nobody else. Either way, that gives us a chance to go over the announcements. Ignore that. Not sure I pulled it up. And that is going to be about where Ghost Racing Network heads next. And I cannot press the correct thing right now. There we go. We are going to head over to PGR's Intimidator Super Speedway Series. And that is going to be this Thursday. We have it every Thursday, the Blaster 120. And for anybody out there watching, if anybody out there watching is interested in money racing or even just watching it, let me tell you something. This is the race you are going to want to watch. The excitement level of this even just broadcasting it, it is easily probably one of my favorite money racing series to broadcast. Matthew Baker joins me in the booth. He is one of the Road to Pro drivers. Race starts just after qualifying, which starts at 10:30. It's only a $16 entry, big payouts, and PGR has now started a development series, $5 entry that's going to start just before this race. If you're looking to get better, 45 laps, not that long, 60% fuel, makes for interesting strategy though, and then one fast repair for when we do have the big one, which we almost always see. Go back full screen. We should be getting the choose cone here shortly, and we'll go down and see if Ryan Hines is out on track. Sure enough, he is. And I wonder if he gets paid for this job. I'll tell you what. If he's getting hit to do it, you got to send the man something, right? Either way. Still a very creative idea. I talked about I had never seen this before up to this point. I almost like when he was facing the other way, though, because then I could do the cockpit cam, which looked pretty cool as you saw a bunch of next-gen cars coming right at your face. This one's pretty good, too. Of course, we did see Brendan Hoff tag the choose cone earlier after a couple guys in front of him waited for the last second, and they could not see. And sure enough, another job complete. He is going to bring that thing right on back to the pits. And I wonder if he's hoping that's the last time we'll see him. It might be. I just don't know if we have enough laps left. If everybody can get it sorted out, and we may not have anybody else wreck. And remember, if we do, I guess I shouldn't say if, because we are eventually, once we hit the white flag, whether it be on a green-white checkered or not, that will make this race official. And even if they all pile up on that last lap, we will finish this thing off under green. It's definitely been a crazy race, that's for sure. Kyle Smalley on the bottom, Calvin Allison. We saw his biggest competition, Chris Worrell, fall to the back. I don't think he's got enough time or tired to get back up here, but we'll see if anybody maybe had a set left. If they did, they probably went in and took them. And we'll see if they can somehow make their way back up here before this thing's all said and done. 6 laps to go at Darlington. We're back green. Good restart from the outside line, but the 45 of Brian Jones is not going to be able to get clear of Kyle Smalley, who dives it in. The 59 up top, that's Brandon Hoff. Watch for any of these guys with a lot of speed, maybe have some new tires. We'll have to find out further back. Everybody's still jockeying for position, and we're going to get another caution as we got one turned in the inside wall. That is J.R. Houston. And we got another one spinning further up front. And that's the 9 of James McKee. This was after the caution already came out. My goodness. And this should send us to overtime if we have overtime, assuming. Again, I'm not 100% sure on that, but I would certainly assume that these guys would not end it under yellow. All right, so let's go take a look here. J.R. Houston finally found himself on the bat end of one after surviving quite a bit of chaos tonight. And he was the actual spin that brought out the caution. Couldn't tell if he made significant contact with the inside wall from the initial view. And I don't think he's going to get any help here. I think he just kind of gets loose. You see he's already loose. Shoots up, and no, he is going to make contact with the 31. Maybe getting a little tight. Comes down. Oh, this is going to be a pretty good hit, it looks like. Yep, sure enough. It's going to be a pretty good contact into the inside wall. Definitely going to put some damage on the front end. And then the 9, further up, we saw get some contact here as well. That's James McKee. So the caution's already out at this point. They're 3 wide, and I'm assuming they're just not going to be able to get it sorted out. And they just get together. Sure enough, turns the 9 right around. And does he get any more contact? Gets into 66. The 05 gets into him, and the 71 Dylan Holland misses. Kind of a messy caution, but only collects 2 cars in all of it. What I do want to look at one more time here before we go back up front is going back to J.R. Houston, who it looks like has maybe retired to the pits now. Let's watch from the chopper view. I want to see if the 31 was coming down at all, or does he just get a little too tight? You can't really see it from that view, so we'll back up a little bit more and try this again. There we go. I mean, you see he's trying to, maybe not that loose, but he's trying to get it extra far down. 31 didn't really come down. I think it was just the 20 maybe coming up a little bit. Contact ensued. That is the second wreck, though, where we've seen the car that actually gets up into another car is the car that spins, and it hasn't spun the guy on the outside, which is a little different. Back up front, 28, Calvin Allison. I'm telling you, I think I got my money on this guy, especially with what's only going to be 2 laps to go once we go green. Kyle Smalley Don't count him out, but he's got a little bit of damage. Brian Jones in third, Brandon Hall fourth, Zach Lindgren in fifth, Aiden Kirker sixth, Marcus Adams in seventh, Jordan Weaver in eighth. James McKee, after that little spin under the caution, still stays in the top 10 in ninth. John Creighton rounding out the top 10 in 14th position. See if we're getting the choose cone this time. If we are, should be getting one to go. And I do see the choose cone getting ready to get out on track, so it might be next lap. I think sure enough it'll be next lap where they get to one to go. Yep, just waiting for the field to roll by here. And then he should do a little donut, if you will. Or maybe it is this time. I think it is going to be this time. He's going to pull just past the start-finish line. And let's go to the rear chase. Sits and awaits the field, which is working their way through turns 3 and 4 now. And this is indeed going to be, actually, let's see it. Yeah, it is indeed going to be an overtime. And with that, the way the overtime rules work, again, just in case anybody forgot, if we can take the white flag, we will finish this race off. However, if they wreck on that first lap, we get caution, we'll rack them up and do it again. And assuming everybody misses the choose cone here, we should be going green this time. Pretty even split. A couple guys making the decision to follow the car in front. And actually, the last 3 rows were 2 by 2 by 2. Oh, we have a car further back. Get on the apron. Not sure if... Looks like they're just going to park it. Sure enough, they are. I got to get off of that car earlier. It goes black screen every time, and it makes me think that my game glitched out or something. Pace car working off turn 2. And if you're Calvin Allison at this point, I think you just get another good restart and you just make sure you don't make any mistakes. At least not until we get to the white flag lap. You don't want to ruin your race on that first one, because if you fall back, no chance you're going to make positions back up. I mean, take Chris Worrell for an example. Was having a great run there up in the front, made a mistake, fell back here with the way the cautions have panned out. Falling back to 11th. Still up 11th where he started, but not been able to gain any more. And I think even if you have tires on at this point further in the back, you didn't really get enough of a chance to use them, and I don't think they're going to be much of a factor. All right, we're in overtime for the Four Corners Racing League, presented by the Under Pressure Power Washing Services. Looking to go green. Green flag back in the air for Calvin Allison. He gets another good jump. This time Brian Jones also gets a good jump. Looking to get clear. We'll see. Can everybody keep it green for 2 sets of corners? And if they can, we'll finish this thing off. Further back, we had one on the apron. We had one get a little tight. Looks like so far so good. Off turn 2, that's where it gets sketchy, and yellow flag is back in the air. This time it's further towards the back. And that's, oh man, big damage for the 15. That's Nathan Yarnell and Caden Henry Oaks. I'll tell you what, he's probably been in the most wrecks of anybody in here tonight, but has retained the least damage. So he's going to be able to fight another day, it looks like, in this one. Let's see what brings it out. And it looks like here, Caden Henry Oaks going for position. This is going to, 15 of Nathan Yarnell. Looks like he was coming down a little bit there. Sure if he thought he was clear or what. Watch the 15. We'll go to a better view for you here. See, the 91 is there. The 15, I'm not sure if he was loose or what, but just comes down on the 91 of Caden Henry Oaks. And the 15 is going to go... Looks like the 15 actually saves it initially. Wow. All right. Well, that's an interesting way to do it. So the 15 initially saves it. And I think the 91 saves it here as well, too. And then they slam into each other. And the damage that they both initially avoided, yeah, I'm not sure if the 91 was fully saving it, but then the 15 piles in. Gives himself some right front suspension damage and then finishes it off right there with more contact. One more look at it here. Back live, looking towards the front. Calvin Allison still leading the way. He probably did not want to see that caution. He knows when he's got the lead, he's feeling comfortable, but each restart, he's got to make him more nervous because he knows that, at least right now, I think he's probably got the fastest car in the top 3, but a little bit of a shuffle up this time because Brian Jones was able to pick up that second position from Kyle Smalley, of course, the paint contest winner. Beautiful looking 5 machine. Not as pretty as it looked when we first started now that it's got damage and debris on it. Either way, Kyle Smalley still looking for a podium finish, currently sitting in 3rd. Brian Jones second, as we talked about. Brandon Hoff in 4th, and Marcus Adams Up in the top 5 for that 39 machine, Zach Lindgren in 6th, Jordan Weaver 7th, Aiden Kirker in 8th, Walker Thomas up to 9th. Maybe if we have enough green-white checkers, Walker Thomas can somehow find his way back to the lead. We saw he had long-run speed in the first go before he had contact with Dylan Holland. We saw some short-run speed before he made contact David Schildhaus, and they both got heavy damage. And then Chris Worrell picked up 1 spot, and he is now the last car rounding out the top 10. First attempt at overtime didn't go too well, but we are going to certainly try it again. I think we'll get the choose cone this time. Maybe not, might go one more actually before we get it. And Ryan Hines has been a busy man late in the going here. 10th caution of the night. Again, we had a pretty long green flag run. I believe it was, might have been close to about 80 laps. Maybe not quite, maybe more like 65 to 80 laps, somewhere in that margin. And since then, it has just about been caution after caution, just too many guys going for it. And I know Chris made the point earlier about there's too much talent in the field, but man, sometimes at a certain point, if I see a lot going on in the field, I got to think to myself, this turns into a survival race. And I'll just go ahead and pick up my positions as the guys continue to wreck in front of me. But it's also been a lot of solo car spins or guys not really getting any contact. But of course, with Darlington being a track where there's not much runoff, caution does get thrown for just about any incident. Sure enough, looks like we are going to do the choose cone right here. So you see that 28 going extra low. He doesn't want any mistake. Nope, choose cone car is not out here yet. But I think that might be they just decided to not do it anymore because it shows lane unless the lights got flicked back on here. That's what we're looking for. Lights aren't on, so as of right now, 1 to go. And they really did, they signaled pretty egregiously on what lanes they wanted, so I think we're going to be good to go. This is going to put Calvin Allison on the inside in the front row, still leading. But Brian Jones is now on the front row, starting 2nd on the outside. Brandon Hoff, the 59 machine, you never know. He's got a chance here still. Kyle Smalley, even with the damage, somehow these front two get into it. I would watch for him as well. Heck, I think anybody in the top 5 right now has a chance. It's just going to be a matter of can you survive until we get to the white flag. Going to be 2-lap shootout. We already had one. Going to be the second one. We will see. Can we end it under green this time? Pace car's getting ready to pull off. Calvin Allison, he's gotten good jumps so far on about the 5 that he's done before this, but he's going to need another really good one here. Can Brian Jones somehow hang with him? Hasn't really led all day. Here's his chance. Green flag back in the air. Calvin Allison gets a good jump, but so does Brian Jones. Not quite able to hang side by side, but he's going to tuck in about a half a car length behind. Down into turn 1. Can everybody hold it clean here through 1 and 2? Brian Jones in the 45. He's got to run here on the backstretch. Gets a little lower, a little quicker. Off 2. No contact. Everybody still holds on to it. Now the 45 is looking to the low side. Calvin Allison's not going to be able to block into turn 3. Brian Jones, can he make it stick? Allison continues to work the top. The 45, can he hang? If he can hang, he might get a side draft down the front. They're wrecking out back. Can we make it? We make it to the white flag, so it's not going to matter. We're going to finish this race off. The 28 back to the bottom. And now the 59, Brandon Hoff, has made the move up to 2nd on the 45 of Brian Jones. Does he have one last-ditch effort for turn 3? I think Calvin Allison might be far enough ahead. But it's going to get interesting here. What does the 59 do? Does he look low? Does he look high? It's going to look low. Not going to dive it in. He knows he's not got enough. Out of turn 4 after a crazy race. A lot of wrecks. Calvin Allison in the 28 wins it at Darlington. What a run for the 28. You talk about egregious in surviving. Calvin Allison gets the job done. He may have been the hard charger as well. In fact, it looks like he was. Finished 20 positions from where he started. Heck of a run, especially after we saw him getting loose in that first run. All the conflict that he faced, and he comes out on top. Not sure how many wins, if this is his first or whatever of the season, because again, just filling in for Bryce. But if anybody hops in, we will get top 3 interviews, but I'm not thinking anybody's going to hop in. We will see here. 28 comes around to burn it down on the front stretch. I'm still not 100% on whether or not we're going to be able to get your top 3 in here for interviews, as I still don't see anybody in the Discord. So I guess for now, we'll go ahead and start with your race results. Calvin Allison, in a thriller of a finish, gets the job done, brings home the win. Brandon Hoff finishes second. Brian Jones third. Marcus Adams fourth. Kyle Smalley, even with the damage, got to feel like a winner. Got the best paint scheme, bringing home $50 and a 5th place finish. Zach Lindgren in 6th. Chris Worrell 7th. Walker Thomas 8th. Aiden Kirker 9th. John Creighton in 10th. James McKee 11th. J.R. Houston in 12th. Jordan Weaver 13th. Caden Henry Oaks in 14th. Joe Ananzita in 15th. Brad Peters in 16th. It's going to be Keith Smalley in 17th. Nick Olson finishes 18th. Nathan Yarnell in 19th. Dylan Holland 20th. 21st is going to be David Schildhaus. 22nd, Jared Wishon. Roberto Ramirez finishes 23rd. Michael Dorsey 24th. Ryan Haynes 25th. Joseph Grijalva 26th. And Chris Vanderplatz was actually not out on track tonight. And I know I said Ryan Hines, and apparently I'm just that tired right now. But no, Ryan Hines was the choose cone, so we only had 24 cars actually in the race. Joseph Grijalva, we saw him try to pull on track, but unfortunately had issues. Was not really able to make a start. Well, it looks like we got at least 2 of your top 3 here in the waiting room, including, looks like your winner and 3rd place finisher. We'll see if Brandon Hoff decides to hop in here. Get to those 2 in just a moment. Overall, crazy race, but that is what we expected from Darlington. Didn't disappoint in that sense. And on that note, let's go ahead and bring in 3rd place finisher Brian Jones. Hey, Brian, this is all set up in the booth. Got a copy.
I got you.
All right. Well, you bring home 3rd. Man, that was a crazy race. Definitely kind of a survival race there towards the end with the amount of cautions we saw. I thought you were going to have something for Calvin Allison there at the end, but and what more did you need?
Oh, I think I needed, way newer tires than Calvin to beat that dude. He's won a lot of races this year, so it's pretty obvious he's got some skill. And I don't know, who was it? Brandon had some new tires, so he kind of flew by me. So I was just kind of holding on for all I had.
Well, you hold on, you bring home a top 3 finish. Congratulations. Before we let you go, though, is there anyone you want to thank, shout out tonight?
Yeah, I got to give a shout out to Racing with Rich Energy. If you want to learn about one of the coolest things that's happened in Formula One in the past couple of years with the whole Rich Energy saga, you go to richenergybook.com and order yourself a copy. Also want to thank Cars and Bids.
All right. Thanks for talking to us, and congrats on the 3rd place finish.
Thank you.
All right. And you know what? I will say I did not realize. I guess it makes sense. Calvin Allison, they said he's got plenty of wins this season. Ironically enough, as I was saying, I didn't know if this was his first win or not because of just filling in. But here we go. Let's bring in 2nd place finisher, and that's Brandon Hoff. Brandon, you got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, boy, you had an up and down night. Started fast. Had to go a little bit towards the back after maybe just get a little loose, had a couple cautions. Then you hit the choose cone. Either way, you finish it off. Good run towards the end, and you bring it home 2nd. How'd you do it?
Oh, my God. I don't even know, honestly. I felt really comfortable all night, honestly. That first run, I was getting a little bit loose after that first 15-lap run. And then I found something that was helping me once we hit those green flag stops around halfway. And, and then it kind of just all broke loose at that point. Once I got spun, I kind of just, regrouped and, just kind of picked my way through the field. But I was telling them, everybody else, I was driving as hard as I can. And I knew once I got to 6th on one of the last restarts, I'm like, I got a chance to win this. And those final 2 restarts when I got to 4th, I'm like, all right, I got a legitimate shot. I just need to get a good restart here. And I didn't get the greatest of restarts last 2, but I was able to get to 3rd, and then I was able to get Brian there going into coming to the white. And I thought I had a shot at Calvin, but he was just, I think the air got me. But, man, that was a good race. I'll take a second any day. I've really had absolutely zero luck this season, whether it's strategy or getting involved in somebody's wreck, or I just haven't had the speed. But I'll take a second any day.
Well, Darlington was crazy. You survived it. That's going to give yourself some momentum going forward. Before we let you go, though, tonight, is there anyone you want to thank? Shout out.
Yeah, I'd like to thank Grip Marketing. Everybody, all my teammates in this race, Nick Olson, Dylan Holland. I know Dylan was arguably the fastest car for the first half of that race, and I don't know what happened. I have yet to watch it, but I feel terrible for him. And thank you guys for putting on the broadcast. Thank JR and Ryan for everything they do for this league. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the next race. I'm excited with the second place and hoping it can carry me forward. Maybe, hopefully get a win here soon.
All right, sounds good. Thanks for talking to us, and congrats on the second place finish.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Now we're going to bring your winner tonight, and that is Calvin Allison. Calvin, this is all set up in the booth. Got a copy?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, ironically enough, man, when you finished, I'm just filling in for Bryce tonight. I couldn't tell if that was your first win or if you had multiple, but look at the way you drove there towards the end. Not surprised that you pick up another win here on the season in the 28 machine. What were you thinking there with all the restarts there towards the end?
I was not looking forward to them, which in the previous years, we've had races here go green for a while, and then it turned into a caution fest. So you kind of have to expect it and be prepared.
You certainly look well prepared there at the end. We talked to the 59, Brandon Hoff. He said that, or not the 59, excuse me. We talked to Brian Jones. He said he would have needed a lot newer tires to beat you. And I'm curious, did you take some tire strategy there before we had that string of cautions that you think helped keep you out in front?
No, I can't remember what lap it was. There was a wreck and I pitted, and then I think the top 5 or 6 never pitted again. And with the caution after caution, you really don't have to worry about it except for heat cycling your tires. And they felt pretty good. I think I run a 29.2 for the final lap, so they still had a lot of life in them.
Well, you bring home the win tonight. Congratulations. Before we let you go, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, big thanks to Under Pressure Power Wash for sponsoring the league. It helps out a lot, and especially for you broadcasting tonight. I know you got called in and did a good job. I'm sure I'll get to watch it tomorrow at work, hopefully. And big thanks to Brian and Bolts. He wasn't feeling good tonight. And JR for keeping us going with his engineering expertise.
All right. Well, once again, congrats on the first place finish. Thanks for talking to us.
Thank you.
All right. That was your winner, Calvin Harrison. All right. Well, that's just about going to wrap it up for me up here in the booth. I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight again. Bryce should be back next week, unless, of course, he runs into any issues. But I hope everybody did enjoy. And until next time, have a good one.